The fact that where a child is born into, whether that's the income level of their family or the geography that they're born into, actually limits their opportunities and determines in many ways the kind of education that they receive.
1 million migrant workers is quite a staggering beneficiary pool for a group of about 400-500 volunteers to meet with a staff of 3.
There is a big funding gap with the collapse of USAID and the change of how we see things now as opposed to before.
Those closest to the issues often understand them best, but unfortunately they are the least resourced to act.
It's about short-term funding and wanting long-term impact. That doesn't make any sense. It's not aligned to what we need.
If truth be told, we have more money than we have ever had, in the history of mankind. I think bringing resources to the communities to make a difference can actually bring around resource generation at so many different levels.
I think that systems change takes time, and it often unfolds over generations. And so that means that funding needs to match that reality.
Multi-year funding is critical. It gives nonprofits the space to learn, adapt, and find the best way to serve their communities.
When we get a multi-year, flexible funding, at the end of the day, the message to the child is that you matter and that so many people care about you enough to be able to do this for you.
So in terms of the amount of unrestricted and flexible funding that Teach for Malaysia receives, I think it makes up probably close to 5% of our annual budget. That leaves a very small window for a lot of innovation towards our programs.
We had a really enlightened and progressive funder who designed and structured the fund in a way that allowed for more long-term investments in capabilities. And I think with those capabilities in place, I think it allows us to adopt a more systemic approach in helping the child and their families.
As a smaller non-profit that serves one of our most vulnerable communities, we are the ones that bridge the gap between national ambitions and grassroots needs. But sometimes lean can very quickly become overstretched and unsustainable.
I think investing in our organization capacity is equally important than investing in the program that we are building together.
We do have funders who do give us organizational development budgets which are separate from our funding, and it helped us find what is our value add that we are doing in this ecosystem and to focus on that value add.
So we had a funder who actually gave us a 3-year funding grant to be able to put systems in place that was so badly needed. They actually funded talent. They actually funded structure to actually invest in a financial system that actually made sense so that the organization itself was strengthened and that the organization was more resilient.
We see Indonesia as not one big homogeneous community. We have to have unique or contextualized solutions. There will be no one-size-fits-all.
I think today most funding always goes to the big ones. We need more support for smaller nonprofits working outside of city centers. The assessment criteria and incentives for funding has to be geared to where gaps are the largest for people to thrive.
Sometimes the lack of access to data, it does limit our ability to see what's going on. And I think it also limits our ability to do better coordination.
Shared support services, I think, would be a real value add because each one of us is trying to solve the problem on our own.
I think one of the problems we face is not even knowing what the suite of shared services available to charities are. And the second part of that problem would be then to be able to access those shared services at an affordable rate.
We are able to do pilots to demonstrate the efficacy of our theories of change. But government is where we believe that scale belongs to, because government already holds the institutions and the processes.
We need to shift from transactional engagement to a more structural partnership,
so that the burden on the ministry is lessened, the burden on employers is lessened, the burden on institutions is lessened.
Scaling impact with the government doesn't only happen at the end of a successful program, but I think it starts really early on from the outset. You know, is the vision aligned? Are we working together to test solutions on the ground and developing strong evidence to support adoption in the public system at large?
I think non-profits should start stepping out from the comfort zone and not just playing it safe to survive. But that being said, it needs reciprocation from the funders to provide long-term, flexible funding which allow non-profits to take risks, to test solutions, to strengthen organization and build the evidence needed for scale.
I'd like to envision a world in which, our countries in Southeast Asia in particular look at non-profit and the civil society sector as a real third force or a third pillar, and enabling the environment where we can actually have a robust, a diverse and a thriving civil society.